You guys, welcome to an all new episode of So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. This is a two-parter, and you might say, Ryan, why I didn't hear the first part. Did I miss something? Yeah, you did. So stop right now and go over to a podcast called She Speaks Bravo, where we just did something. We did the impossible. They said it couldn't be done. They said, can you take a 43-minute season 2 Vanderpump Rules reunion and make it 2 hours? And we did. And who knows where this is going to take us, because I got to tell us, there were just pearls of wisdom that was being dropped right and left from Emily and myself. And I mean, we truly, the nostalgia element, I think psychologically, we're breaking down these characters so intensely. And now in this, we're just going to make fart jokes that was where the good stuff happened. And now, no, we're going to do part 2 of the reunion. But I want to tell you about our guest. If you are joining this without knowing her, of course, you know her already. You probably follow her Instagram account, She Speaks Bravo, which I think is just amazing. I am truly jealous of her video editing skills. Her thoughts are like I was saying, like I will say a lot of snarky things and she says a lot of smart things. I mean, she's still really funny, but there's a difference there. Also, she is on, I don't know, do we call it record label? Oh, what do we, she's on my podcasting label too. We're with iHeartRadio / Cloud 10, which is a division of iHeartRadio. So it's always good. And I just wanted to point out too, is that some people will always be like, why have other podcasters on? Doesn't that take away from you? And I've always said, no, there is room for everybody in this. If I have an opinion on something, I love when somebody else has a different opinion. In fact, we had a different opinion on Sheena on the first part of this, and that's what's exciting. There's room for everybody in this. As long as you work hard and like really, and our guest does, she busts her ass. And that's what I think it really does. For all as silly as this comes off, there is so much hard work involved. This is harder than anybody's ever worked at SUR in their lives is what, and I'm not saying this is rocket science, but at the same time, I think we both truly have the same passion for these things. And it's always good. It's always good to meet new people and hear new voices, because my podcast, like her podcast, it can sometimes be long form, and you might need to take a break from it sometimes. You only have so many hours in the day, but it's also like, the thing is, the door is always open here. You come back, you leave, you come back, you leave. Go listen to other things too. Don't ever live in a vacuum. And I know I'm being way too serious for a funny show, but I always just want to make that point is the more voices, the merrier. The more we can drive each other to be better and to actually, I'll be inspired by her posts or something. She said, we talked about flat out copying and seeding each other. I'm like, we just don't do, but like, you can always kind of notice if you're in that, but my next guest does not do that. She has all of her own opinions, which is just amazing. And she's killing it. The podcast is called She Speaks Bravo. And what do we do before we even start this? Well, we always go to there. I'm going to give you a second. Okay. She Speaks Bravo. You're going to type that into Apple Podcasts or Spotify, right? Okay. Have you gotten there? Good. Okay. Yeah. Apple Podcasts takes a little bit longer. You're going to hit subscribe, right? Then, right, without even thinking, consider this is like me being a cult leader, hit 5 stars on the review. Hit 5 stars immediately, because we've already put 2.5 hours into this, and we're about to do not more than 2.5 hours. We're about to do another thing right here. So that is a lot of time and energy, and the freest, easiest thing that you can do, because I got to tell you, I am so lucky to be able to do this for a living, but I'm not living like a housewife, you guys. I'm not living. I'm still month to month. And I'm sure Emily is a lot of the same way. So you want to make it so that people we can get out there. We can get our names out there. And I'm honest with you guys about that. 5-star reviews actually do help. They actually put you on placement. They put you on suggestions. So never think that you have great power as an audience. And I always say that, use it wisely, use it for people that you love, good-hearted people that make you laugh. I always say that. So today, without further ado, somebody that I admire very much, that is busting her ass over the last couple of years, and I think it is truly paying off. Emily Hanks, welcome to the show.
I could not wait. I'm like, give me a Ryan Bailey intro. I need it.
She grew up as a young woman in the land of, listen, before we're going to jump right into this in a second, but I just want to say, why are you doing this? Why put yourself, not this podcast, but
question.
Why are you doing podcasting in general? What led you to podcasting? And because I think you see above all people, because you put out multiple episodes a week, this stuff it's very time consuming.
It is.
Why are you doing this?
It started as a therapy exercise. I had just, my confidence was in the gutter. And my therapist at the time was like, I think you just need to do it. I was talking about doing a podcast.
Your therapist was like, do a podcast. Okay. You were talking about doing a podcast. I was like, wow, that's wild. You have therapists out there encouraging podcasts.
Right? Yeah.
Let's get therapists to not encourage podcasts. But you wanted to do one. You wanted to do one.
I'd been talking about it, but like that imposter syndrome, that like, who cares about my voice, that whole like just no self-confidence coming out of the pandemic, and my mental health was in the gutter. And I did it just as a practice in growing my self-confidence. And I did like maybe 5 episodes and was like, this is weird. My mental health is much worse. It is not helping. Yeah. What is the point? Who cares? I was like, am I just talking to myself in my room with the microphone? And it was actually
that's
really
what it
hard.
is. Actually, that's what it is.
And it was like when my self-confidence was so low, like having to edit the episodes was really hard because I was like, oh, I hate my voice. I hate everything about this. It was a really big challenge. So I stopped for a while, thinking no one really cared, because it's like, who even listened to this? I was like, I didn't even check to see how many people listened to it. I was like, if anyone listens, cool. If not, I'm not even looking into it. And then I got a few people messaging me being like, are you ever going to do your podcast again? Because I liked it. And I was like, really? And I was like, well, maybe not, probably not. I didn't like it. And then a friend who I've made through my Instagram account was like, no, I'm telling you, you should do it. Like, you actually are good at it. You should try it. So I
that person, by the way, was Meryl Streep.
And she said,
you better
get off your ass and
Kim
work.
Kardashian
said. And so then I said, okay, look, what if I actually put effort into it and not just do.
Wait, what's effort?
I know.
Wow.
Because I knew how much work went into one episode a week. And so I was like, what if I actually did what I like to do, which is a full recap, like take one episode and do a full recap, much like you do.
Or to watch what crap
happens. Like all
the,
I liked that. Like I liked that form of it. Cause at first I was trying to like squeeze a bunch and do like light. I liked doing like almost line for line readings. It's the, the old actor in me.
Yeah.
And so I said, if that's going to be a lot of work, but I said, just try it. And so I kept doing it and I don't know what made me keep doing it. I just enjoyed it's like, I just enjoyed doing it. I don't really know what else it was. It was like absolutely a ton of work. I had to, learn as I went to learn how to like edit things and just, all the technical stuff you had to learn. But all the stuff I had to learn, I enjoyed, like learning how to make the promos. I had to YouTube a lot of things, like how to edit videos and how to do the stuff I liked. But I just kept doing it because I liked it. Honestly, that's all it was. I just enjoyed doing it. And then when Cloud 10 reached out, I was confused. Like I was literally like, do they have the wrong person? And so it was truly an honor. I will say it. I was like, okay, why? And so Sim Sarna is the owner of Cloud 10, and he said, he said, like, Ryan Bailey, you guys work your asses off and you do it because you like it. And that's who we like to work with. And so I think that if you like to podcast, you like to work a lot, but you like to do this type of work. It's very specific. It's not lonely, but it's very like isolated. There's very isolating. That's why it's always fun to have somebody on. And sometimes I'll do solo recaps a lot, and those do really well. And sometimes those are the least fun for me, especially during the Beverly Hills season. I was doing like
3-hour solo recaps because there is this innate loneliness. But also that's why, like, I'll get to a point where I'll make myself laugh, which is always kind of the goal. But you're like, I'm insane. I'm in a room at 3 a.m. laughing about something I just said that is so dumb that 3 people will get. And then you realize, oh, there are people that actually listen to this. There are people. And that's why it's like what you said earlier, that one person reached out to you and said, no, you should keep doing this. And that's why I always say to people, it's like, I always try to encourage other people, not with podcasting, but I try to encourage people in life in general, because all it takes sometimes is just that one comment that somebody needs to hear. Yeah. Because I see so much talent out there, not even in terms of just podcasting, but talent in like all these ways where I'm just like blown away that, you know, it's like, wow. And I get to play in this same sandbox. And that's why I think there's like not the only competition you really are in with yourselves. And that's not to say that you don't want to do good and you want to get better and you want to get that. But at the end of the day, it's the work that matters. And how silly is it that we get to say the work is talking about Vanderpump Rules season 2? Like that's the work that matters, but it is.
Exactly.
It took me 2.5 hours to take the worst notes. By the way, Emily sent me her notes. Emily sent me her notes. It's all organized and all this stuff. I sent her my notes. It looks like the Zodiac Killer. Like you
really oversold them. I'm kind of disappointed. I was really hoping for more.
Well, by the way,
they're still organized.
Wait. By the way, it would have been much worse, but I knew you potentially had to look at them. I usually would have written it in such a me scroll where like now, I don't know, talking to a fellow podcaster, I can like write notes where I'm like, okay, if I say chicken, I know that means I have a weird memory where I can memorize like the monologue about a chicken. Why am I using chicken as an example? I'm just saying I can just write one word now, and usually that'll like make me remember the monologue.
See, I wish I need to get to that point because I'm now getting annoyed with myself because sometimes I write such detailed notes. And so last night when I wrote my Salt Lake City notes, I was like, Emily, you don't need to write such detailed notes. You'll remember. And when I was recapping Salt Lake City earlier, I was like, I don't know what this word meant.
There'll be great ideas that just come and go. And that's why I'm always writing things down, but still don't do it enough because you'll have this joke that'll be like, oh, I know where that could go in a bit. And then you're like, oh, there was a bit there and I can't, because you think in the middle of talking, but what's so funny, you're a trained actor as well, is that like what I found fascinating about this is that you use all the tools that I was taught as an actor, is that you prepare so much so you can let it all go. Yeah. Like, so you can be in the middle of a recap and go on a whole nother rant that you never thought about. And that's what it's like. You're prepared enough to let it go.
Wow. That is so accurate. That is so fucking true, because that is truly how I prep my notes. And I'll think like, I know I don't need this much, but just in case, because once I get into the recap, once you're in the recording, you need to just have that all there in case you need it. Because when like today, failed experiment, I did not have enough of my prep notes and was like, I'm not doing this again. I'm just going to take longer to write the notes out. All right.
Yeah. Well, it is, you guys, that's what I always try to explain, the note-taking process. And now I have a couple of people that help me sometimes. And it is fun watching them realize the misery that you go through in taking notes, because it is such just most people don't write these things out like they're plays, and even transcription services, because you're like, oh, do a transcription service. It doesn't, they get half the things wrong. They don't really, you get characters right. So you're always like, it's like one big monologue that they never specify. So it doesn't work the way that you hoped it would work when like I was like going around transcription services. So you really just truly have to do it. So we did it. We just did a very, I think, hysterically funny and yet meaningful one on She Speaks Bravo. So I want you to go listen to that so you can come here now and catch up where we join In Progress part 2 of the VPR reunion. Like we said over there, they're actually filming not at a studio, but inside the restaurant. We have our cast of characters.
Like in front of the bar.
In front of the bar. I mean, like they are really in front of, this is a multi-use facility. And I do wonder if Lisa got a tax break at all for
100%.
Like, use that as I also filmed something there, so I can use that on my taxes. Also Sir, I always just got to say this with Sir is making such a mistake. I say this like once every month. They need to make it like the Rainforest Cafe in there, where every 15 minutes the lights go down, the Vanderpump Rule themes comes on, they shoot out smoke, which is like bad menthol cigarettes that Dodie would smoke, and like make it seem like an experience that you're in, like. Da, 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 da. Wouldn't you be excited if you had like a big tree with all of their faces on it that like kind of moves around? Like they could be the Rainforest Cafe. Because by the way, Sexy Unique Restaurant ain't sexy or unique anymore, and it barely. Like, I don't, Emily, did you ever read that lawsuit where the lady like literally shit her brains out at the table and like her head spun around or something?
Yes. No, it's like the days of Sir are over. And so they need to lean into it as like the novelty that it is. So what you just said, like make it an attraction, it's like it's a circus. You like no one goes there to really
who's taking there on someone on a first date without the show involved.
Right.
Like nobody's going like, tonight, let's get the Sexy Unique this Sexy Unique Restaurant looks interesting. What a good menu. And I'm sorry, you can talk goat cheese balls all day long. I'm glad Stassi likes them, but they all like, this is how funny Sir is. They'll only give you 3 goat cheese balls. And I'm like, 3. So you're 2 people. Like, who gets the 3rd goat cheese ball? It's always an argument. And the food is, you know, like
sabotage is what that is.
She'll do these scenes in the kitchen to be like, Regado, maybe a little more spice. Yes. Now,
I hate those scenes.
Beautiful.
I hate them.
Takes their food, and it's not. There's for a restaurateur. It just seems like she's better at a reality star than a restaurateur, even though she opens all of these restaurants. But without the TV element, like which one do you like? You've been to Tom Tom and Sir, right?
Tom Tom's fun. Tom Tom's okay. Sir is a dark experience.
Yeah.
Sir's okay. So
everyone involved. Yeah.
Yeah. I went to Sir. I went to Sir years ago now, over 5 years ago, at least. And Katie was working when I was there. That's how long ago it was. And Sir is one of those places where when you get there, you're like, oh, there's like black light. There is like purple hued light. And when you get closer and closer to everything, you're like, this is very cheesy prop looking decor.
It's like I always say, it's Planet Hollywood. It's like it's Planet Hollywood without the props. Like, lean into the Planet Hollywood of this, because you're just doing like this is like, you know, this isn't Prince's wet dream, you know, like he would think it was tacky, and he loves purple. Like the overuse of the lighting, the overuse of I don't know. There's so many things really wrong tacky with it that I find it interesting. The only reason that it's survived this long is because of the show. Mm-hmm. And that's why I always find it interesting in later seasons how they still try to jam Sir into it, because you're like, guys,
let it go.
Is so much better in every way. They put some money into it. The food is, you know, like, and I find it interesting that like then Sir is like the sad, forgotten. You know, if you get a job at Sir, it's not great. If you get a job at Tom Tom, that's cool. If you get a job at Schwartz and Sandy's, that's the new kid on the block.
Yep.
Which I went to Schwartz and Sandy's for the first time last week, and I met I was talking to the manager and all that stuff. Like, they're cast members this season.
Good.
I mean, good, but it's like, well, I mean, good, and it's hard for me to let new characters into my heart. I don't know. I get it.
I get it.
Also, what is before we get into this recap, what's your favorite show on Bravo right now?
Oh, right now. Ooh, right now. Potomac.
Potomac, really? Okay. Potomac is great. Potomac is amazing. Mine's Winter House. Because but it goes, if you listen to the first episode, the Sheena thing surprised her, I think, but Potomac is overall a great show. It is pieced together. It's thematic. There are elements of, you know, it's a real show with real people. Winter House is people damaging their livers in their 30s. And it's ridiculous. Like, there is scenes that are, you know, we're talking about squirting. We're talking about bathrooms. We're talking about how much can you drink. Craig's paying people to have the main room. It is such a bizarre David Lynchian experience where Potomac, to me, is what we look for in a classic good housewives show. But sometimes coming off the Beverly Hills season, Winter House is my favorite because I needed this tawdry refresher after Beverly Hills.
I take it back. Family Karma.
That is amazing because Family Karma doesn't get nearly the amount of attention that it should. It's in its third season. The third episode will premiere this Sunday. And it's one of those things that you could really easily, I said this with Real Girlfriends in Paris last week, you guys, is that the streaming now with Bravo, the app, or even just on your cable service, you can watch all 10 episodes of Real Girlfriends in Paris in a day. You can go back to the first season of Family Karma. You can catch up really quick.
Very short
these
seasons.
are things that are worth actually because they're great shows.
I'm going to be recapping Family Karma. I'm replacing Potomac with Family Karma.
Why are you not wanting to recap Potomac?
But the fandom of Potomac really does connect with the topic of colorism. And I just don't think that I'm the right voice to address it or not address it. And so I'm highlighting Black content creators instead. It just felt wrong of me to be like, I'm not going to address it because I can't.
That's really, I mean, I didn't, because I was going to do a Potomac recap. It wasn't that, things get busy and all this stuff, but like, I didn't want to be, because I watch Potomac every week, but that is an interesting aspect of it, of how are you able to speak on something but at the same time, I feel like there's elements of Potomac that you can speak on, but there are certain issues that it's like, nobody wants to hear a white straight dude talk about what it means to like, what is colorism, what it means to me. It's probably goofy.
So, cause I do my recaps of Potomac with Kendrick, the host of Reality and Comics.
Love Kendrick. He's been on a bunch, you guys, you know how much I did. I think Kendrick, I just said this on a show last week. He's really one to watch. Like, I think he is somebody that, as time continues, if he does not give up, a star. Will keep getting bigger and bigger.
No, he's a huge star. So he did Atlanta. I boldly asked if he would do all of Atlanta with me. And so he enjoyed that so much that thankfully he agreed to do Potomac. But as we went into we did the 5th episode, we did 1 through 5, and the topic of colorism was becoming very prevalent, and he does not want to get into that issue, but that is his right as a Black man not to get into it. And so I thought about it for a week because the comments were, colorism is existent on this show. I think we really should get into it. And I tried to get my friend Pia, who's a Black woman, to come on the show and talk about it. But she even was like, this is such a complicated issue in the Black community. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I would prefer not to talk about it on your platform.
Do you think it's then important to have Potomac cover it even to begin with? If we're not even able to, and I mean, even me, you, Pia, anybody, if it makes us all uncomfortable to talk about, do you like that it's being shown on the actual show?
Well, I don't think it's being, quote, shown intentionally. I think that if you are a Black woman who is triggered or sees it on the show, so my point, I announced this past week when I did my show, I announced that after thinking about it, I said, I think that it doesn't matter if I see it or not, because I'll never understand it. So it doesn't matter if I think I think it's there, or I think it's not. It doesn't matter what I think. And me trying to say, which is what I said the week prior, I'm like, I want to keep this focus on the entertainment factor and just focus on the storylines and do what Kendrick and I do best, which is keep you guys laughing. I said, I kind of feel like that feels a little white privilege-y to me. And if I was a Black woman, that would be my right to decide if I want to talk about it or not. But since I am white, I just feel like I'm going to make some space for the Black women who are already covering the show, like Taria, What Else Is Going On, or Giselle at Who Asked Me podcast. And I just named a bunch of amazing Black content creators and said they can choose to talk about it if they want to or not, because it's not their job to. But I just felt like I needed to step out of the way on this one, since I don't have a clue how to address it. And I would just kind of do a disservice to the conversation. And so what I have learned is I listened to Taria's podcast, What Else Is Going On, her most recent episode. And if you are a dark Black woman, you really see it on the show. Like, you really see it. I could not connect with it, but I could listen and I could learn and I could hear it. I guess it's a lot of unconscious bias that we have as humans to just, I guess, treat darker skinned people different.
Yeah, no, I mean,
or darker hued. I should not say darker skinned. I learned that one, darker hued. So I'm learning, and this is, I think, a time for me to shut up and listen as opposed to talk.
I love that. And you know what I also love is that with Vanderpump Rules, you learn nothing.
Yep.
Season 2, you absolutely learn nothing.
What a segue.
It is truly, if anything, is just psychological torture, not for the audience, but for each other. These people, like we said in the first episode, have been put in this fishbowl at the right place in the right time, and Bravo ends up being able to profit off of it.
And but in reality, the fuck out of it.
In reality, these people must have deep psychological scars from this, because I always just say, imagine your worst relationship being able to make money on a TV show and being there to live forever. Because I went back and it reignited my hatred for Jax. It reignited, you all of these feelings that you forgot about came rushing back. And also, like we said, like season 10 is coming up. This is to get you guys pumped up, because the show had its glory days. You can always say that the show will never go back to those days, but we're working with potentially a lot of great storylines just through social media alone. And just to give you a few, you've got Raquel and DJ James Kennedy have broken up. DJ James Kennedy has a new girlfriend who we'll see.
Okay, wait, I have a story about that. I was there the night he met her. Well, it was at Tom's show. And
I was there too then.
You were there that night?
Wait, was that the January show?
Yeah,
I was there. Yeah, I was
you
on.
Were there?
I was on. Yeah, I tell the story in the podcast. I was on mushrooms, and it was like the worst thing that I'd ever done in my life.
I was there.
Well, I was standing right behind Sheena and Brock, and like I was doing dry January, so I did mushrooms for some reason. It was the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life.
Wait, how did I not notice you?
If it's the show in January, they've done 2 shows
at the one in
Canyon Club at Agora Hills.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was the guy freaking out because I was on mushrooms, and like it was like all of a sudden I was like, this is too weird. Like it feels like, because I was watching Brock and Sheena dance, and I was like, oh, this feels like I'm in the show. Like I couldn't even communicate. I was so right bad
there. How did I not fucking
DJ James Kennedy came on afterwards and immediately took his shirt off, which is like hysterical in so many ways, because you're not at like a stadium, and like he's like, let's come on. That was the night they met.
Well, yeah, the one in January, right?
How romantic. Yeah, that was the one in January.
And I watched as like they were kind of talking, they were holding hands, and then at one point he went in like to the backstage behind the curtain thing, and I just happened to be standing right there, and then she tried to go back in, and the security guard was like, no, you can't go back here. And then she's like, no, tell James I'm trying to get back here. And the guy's like, hey James, you know her? And he's like, don't let her back here.
That was the first night they met, and he said, don't let her back here.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. And by the way, like to want to get, and by the way, I hear this girl is nice. We'll see. Like I don't know her personally, but it is going to be interesting because you do then automatically get, not starfucker, but you get that thing of you're doing it to be on the show. And Raquel gets accused of this as well. And that's what we're going to see on this new season, 10th season as well, because Raquel, supposedly makes out with Schwartz, dates Garcelle's son, dates a series of men, and really supposedly finds her voice. But I will not believe it until I see actual footage, because the Raquel that I've always been around has been so, I'm just really curious to see it. You'll have Tom Sandoval in his Boogie Nights band era, which I think is awesome.
Great era.
You'll get to see that. And then I'm trying to think what else, because there's so many good
Lala Rand.
You have Sheena getting married to Brock.
And Jax is going to be there. Oh, okay, interesting.
So, and this is 10 years of this. We are 10 years, and I treat these shows like family, and you never abandon family. But we can go back and appreciate these earlier episodes. And season 2 reunion is amazing. We left off where Kristen had stormed out, you guys, and she was like, "Stop trying to make this okay." And Tom's like, it is okay. And Andy's like, are you being hypocritical right now? And Chris is like, yes, no, what I did was fucking, no, sorry, that's Tom's voice. Yeah. Yes, no, what I did was fucking wrong. And Tom's like, huffing and puffing and throwing yourself around in the middle of a restaurant, and then he turns to Ariana. By the way, you handled that was the coolest and hottest thing I've ever seen a girl do. And Kristen goes, fuck you, Tom. I'm about to walk away if this happens again. And Tom's like, what do you want me to say? It was amazing. Like, you're yelling at her. And like, she kept her cool. And that's when Kristen gets up and walks away. We also saw that scene at the end of the first part of this reunion, but I just wanted to do it again just to do the Tom list. He has this little lisp for me.
I never noticed the list.
It's the very, very tiny, and it probably doesn't exist, but that's how I interpret it.
I now will only hear him with a lisp, thanks to you.
And I love that this is Bravo's classic. We don't trust that the audience doesn't remember this scene from last week. So they show us this whole scene again, but it's a good scene because Kristen is fully Hurricane Dodie walking out.
And they always give, whenever they show this scene again, they always give you like a little extra line.
Yeah. Yes. They always tell something that was different because Kristen's like, it's happening. Fuck you, dude. And Lisa's like, let her go. Let her go. Let her go away. And then Sheena's like, I literally tried. And Tom's like, it's constant anxiety when she's going to have a breakdown. I dealt with this our whole relationship. And then Sheena says, I tried. See, this is what I'm telling you. She goes, I tried. I'm such a good person.
I'm such a good person.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's why I love her. When you have to state something, it takes away from it actually being true.
I was amazed that she said, I thought she was kidding. I really thought that she was going to start laughing.
No.
Like, I am such a good person.
That's how she views herself. She views herself as a great person. And if I could have just an iota of that kind of confidence, I would have been so much farther by now. But like, this is why I love the land that Sheena lives in her head, because also this is not really involving Sheena in a lot of ways, but Sheena gets herself in there. And like, I would think everyone in this room has seen at one point or another, I try to be there for her. I try. Like, we weren't talking about friendship levels here. We weren't talking about friend of the year.
I was like, why are you? Okay, thanks, Sheena. And then, I don't know how that got involved.
And then Stassi pipes up. He goes, oh, this is my problem with you now, to Sheena, because I didn't have a problem. And Sheena's like, no, not when we didn't talk for a couple months. And Stassi's like, it made it hard to reach out to you when you're such good friends with Kristen and Jax.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's insane. Wait, did you just hear some weird audio pop in?
No.
Oh, okay. All of a sudden, never mind. So
was it your AirPods?
Maybe it was. I'm like hearing voices in my. Okay, no. Okay, Ryan, 525 cut. Okay, okay. So Stassi's like, it made it hard to reach out to you when you're such good friends with Kristen and Jax, and Sheena's like, I'm not such good friends. Yeah. Jax and I have been friends for a while. Yeah. The whole Cabo thing pissed me off, but you and I were extremely close. You were there the night I fell flat on my face and knocked out my fucking teeth. You saw me with blood all over my face, screaming hysterically, and you couldn't just fucking text me to see if it was okay. And that's why I don't give a fuck anymore. You don't care about me. I just don't care.
You can tell she is done. She has given all she can give to Stassi.
Don't you imagine Sheena just in like full Carrie blood over her, like just pouring blood? Like, that's the Sheena shirt somebody needs to make of like, I was pouring blood. You saw me. First off, still, I always wonder in those occasions when somebody trips and falls, you can't help but laugh. So I'm wondering if I saw that, like at first I'd be like, oh, and then realize when she pops up with blood, like, oh shit. Stassi, I love, is classic Stassi. Is like, sorry you fell on your face.
Yeah, she's like,
I guess.
And she's like, I might have been, but like, You were also kind of mean to me too, a little bit. Like
and she was
nothing
like,
Sheena says
Katie.
matters.
I talked to Katie about it, but I just can't. And then you guys, Kristen has gathered herself.
Kristen, the way Kristen enters rooms is very amazing.
Wait, how do you view Kristen entering room? Because I have how do you
She always like enters the room like she's just like
it's
it's
chin
like,
first.
Yes,
it's always chin. It's like
she's always like, oh my god. Like there's such an energy. Like when she walks in a room,
I would have killed
darkness.
Like at some point, the producers, I know it's probably not legal, but like they should have just let her smoke on stage. Like, wouldn't you love Dodie with like a cigarette of like
chain
just like
smoking.
Furiously chain smoking and like putting it on the ground? Like,
and also remember in Cabo, she was doing shot after shot of tequila. She was pouring them in like a champagne flute, I think.
I love when people drink purposely because they're angry or hurt and they binge. They're like, I'm going to show you how crazy I am right now. This is how much I'm going to put in my body. Like do you see this? Do you see how crazy I am?
Oh my God.
I truly love when people do that. So, Kristen walks out and Sheena's like, you should have stayed in touch with me to Stassi. Kristen immediately sees Ariana and Tom holding hands on her knee. And Kristen goes, please stop. Have a little bit of respect for me. And you don't need to be all over each other. And I'm like, what?
And it's just a funny thing that like they stay holding hands because like at this point for them to let go would be a weird choice because like then it would mean Kristen has told them to. So like now they have no choice but to continue holding hands. But it's like it's such a weird situation to put them in.
It's just, hey, he's not finger blasting Ariana. He's holding her hand. Like there's nothing sexual about this. And like, yeah. And Kristen, I'm going to even blow your mind further. They're dating and you found out in the first episode. There's no, like the hand thing is what did it. Like, I can't take that visual representation.
But now they're just like, yeah, here we are. It's just a very, like, they can't let go. And
Ariana's a sane person. So she's like filtering this through a mostly sane person's head. So she's just like, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, like, you know, we're dating. I don't know what, you know, I bet because it would be great if Dodie like kept texting them all night. I bet you guys are humping right now, aren't you? Stop it. I do wish also for supplemental materials with Bravo is that like I always want, like I say all the time, I'll pay extra for supplemental material. Like I wish they would give us access to all of their phone texts that day of the reunion and afterwards. Like, wouldn't you love to hear the conversations of like Dodie, like who's Dodie texting afterwards? Like, I think in my mind, Dodie even texts Jax or like one more time for old time's sake. Like,
oh my God,
I'll let you kiss me this time.
I bet Jax was like, ew, never. Yeah, I would never kiss you. I'll just stick it in. That's it. Penetration only.
But Tom fires back with, you did bang a guy I just moved in with on my bed. And Kristen's like, I'm just asking to be fucking respectful while we're doing this. And so she has literally no leg to stand. There's no leg to stand on. Like, it's like, she should have brought his condom. Like, here's your fucking condoms if you care so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and Tom's like, I'm just holding her hand. Tom goes, be respectful. I didn't go after your friends or try to bang your friends like you did.
Yeah,
and Sheena goes, he's not groping her, Kristen. Like he's being respectful, Kristen. I have to agree with Tom.
Yeah, but then this is the best.
He goes, I don't need them holding hands in front of me, Sheena. It fucking hurts.
It hurts.
And then Andy goes, Tom, do you ever regret sticking in the relationship as long as you did? And then he goes, you obviously both love each other very much. And I'm like,
it's the most confusing question, Andy.
I was like, Andy, wait, what show are you watching? Like, you obviously love each other. You should, it's like, you obviously were in a very long relationship. Like, love would not have been the word I would have used.
Okay, first it was just a funny question to ask. Like, do you regret staying in the relationship so long? Funny, but then you obviously love each other very much. I'm like, Andy,
This
what?
Andy, who hurt you? Who's loved
What?
you? Like, what do you consider love, Andy?
Why
Like,
did you say
who?
that?
What has John Mayer done to you, Andy? Like, this is not. This is not.
What is John Mayer? I have so many questions about that friendship.
That's
Many.
another one. On the first episode, I said there's no doubt that Andy's seen Jack's dick in my head.
No, none
There's
at all.
also no doubt, nor should there be shame or like, but I do believe Andy and John have had a physical relationship at some point. I also believe that John, that does not make him gay. I believe John also loves women very much. So don't get on me. But I do believe there has been a section. I'll if heaven exists in the heaven machine, and that I always think in my head, like you get to know answers, like you can know who kills John Bonet. You can know, like, that's one of the ones that I would want the answer to. Have they had a sexual relationship? And I think it's definite yes.
I mean, Andy has some interesting friends, like Kelly Ripa.
Yeah, Kelly. And, Kelly, a fun Andy fact, Andy admitted on Stern once that he did have a threesome with a girl and a guy that were his friends. And in my head, that's
Kelly and Mark.
Yeah, in my head, but he did admit to that. And I think actually he talked about it in one of his books. So I do think that's so
Did he ever outwardly deny that it was Kelly and Mark?
I don't know if he was directly asked that question, which would be great. The time I get to ask Andy anything, I just hit him immediately. Like, there's no, it's just like, hey, did you fuck Mark Consuelos once? Like, I would just want to know the hard stuff.
Like you're onto something here.
And by the way, that's fine. But I just know that I am so awkward every day in my own sexual being that I love Andy is so loose that he's having threesomes. He's probably hooking up with John Mayer and a bunch of dudes, probably hooked up with a few girls. He's loose with things. And I'm not kink shaming because good on you. But I think, it's like Sheena. Sheena is the same. Sheena says, yeah, man, I used to date football players, basketball. I've been in threesomes. I've been in this, I as a nerd, you grow up in a different way. When you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, the talk of threesomes isn't coming up a lot, I was the actor that would skip.
Quote of the episode.
Yeah. I was I don't know, when you were taking acting classes, I would always get so nervous when we would get assigned a kissing scene where I'd get so nervous that I would not show up for classes on the night of the kissing scene. Cause I just was so nervous about I'd be like, oh no, cause then they're going to be like, oh no, I have to go up with Ryan. I was so in my head about it. It was
I actually
insane.
never did an acting class where they were kissing. I never got that far in my studies.
Yeah, that was advanced classes.
Oh yeah. No, I never did. To this day, I'm like, I don't know if I could ever do it. I'm just so immature.
No, it was it was always I was like, no,
I'm so immature. I can't. Even when I watch things now, I'm like, how do they do these things?
Yeah.
Oh my God, they're going to yell cut at one point.
Or also just even in terms of reality shows, how do you, with a straight face, talk about banging on your friend, banging on your bed, using your condoms? How do you do? I mean, life. If you find yourself on a TV show talking about this, you've made a wrong turn somewhere. You might have made a right turn financially for a bit of time, but overall, I think this is not going to be great psychologically for any of these people.
Even when what it happens on every reality show, like on Southern Charm, they talk about hookups and stuff. I don't have the maturity level to talk about things like this.
Oh, dude,
I cannot.
I used to we'll talk about in terms of your format changing as you continue on in podcasting, where I used to do all these different segments. There was a segment called Bailey Blunders, and it was always these weird situations that I've been in the past where it's been a horrible date, my fault, or horrible this. And then you just realize you're sharing way too, I remember sharing one that I was like, oh, I just shared way too much and it didn't feel good. I was like, oh, that doesn't feel good. And then you think about oh, I hope that person never, ever hears this podcast ever. And I just can't imagine making your bread and butter out of your personal fodder.
Yeah. Like even just watching kissing scenes back, like when they go to the reunions and have to cut to the packages of like, oh, you guys had a fun summer, and then they have to watch the scenes of them kissing. I'm like, I can't even look at this, you guys. I can't.
No, it's so they go on and they also wait, would you consider your life worthy of a reality show at any point? Like, what year would you have been like, nah, that year would have been a good reality show for me?
Oh, for
like,
sure.
Oh, really? Okay.
My early restaurant years, absolutely. Like when I was a server in I worked at a restaurant that's no longer around, but it was called Senior Fred's, and I know, or Senior
Perfect.
Fred. I don't think there was an S at the end. And we just, all of us were like legitimately friends, and we partied our faces off, but we partied hard. But we partied probably like these guys do. Problem is we weren't hot. We weren't like you have to be hot. Like,
yeah, like, you're the TGI Fridays tier of
we
wait
not,
staff
like,
and all that.
These people are fucking models. So, they like, we didn't have that going for us, but I would say, but they would never allow it. I wouldn't have been a good subject for it. Well, maybe a little bit, but when I was food and beverage manager at Soho House, West Hollywood.
Whoa, that's a big.
Well, yeah, I worked in restaurants for a long time. That was my career for 10 years. Because I quit acting and was like, you know what? I don't like this, but I love restaurants. And that was crazy. That was until the pandemic hit, and the world stopped. I was able to go, I hate this actually. And so I switched gears, but that would have been an epic reality show because there were so many departments and everyone was gorgeous, and like the members that would come in were like celebrities, and so it was a total sell, but they would never do it because it's a members only club.
I love nightclubs. That's why I think the show actually worked. I mean, I did love nightclubs, but I love not having to go to a nightclub, but still seeing the chaos of a nightclub.
Yep.
And that's what I love. And these guys are like, nobody's a brainiac on Vanderpump Rules. I mean, Ariana probably is the smartest one of this gang. Stassi's smart, but in a different kind of way.
Totally.
But also some of the ladies and the guys especially have egos bigger or as big of the Real Housewives, and I think that's interesting. So anyways, they did this as long as you did, obviously, Andy's like, you did love each other, obviously. And there's a big pause and Tom goes, like there was like, it's like a really loaded sigh from Tom. And Tom's like, I think I had hope that things would change, that maybe she would stop with these breakdowns and self-destructive behavior. I felt it's psychological problem. You can read the symptoms for BPD, Kristen. It describes your actions to a T. And they cut to Kristen and she has this smile, like she's like this huge. Wasn't that
such
smile.
A weird cut? Like
it was like,
because you're not sure when they cut away to things like that if that was actually what the face she was making when that was what he was saying. But I'm like, what a choice! Like,
I love. There's
was that to prove that she actually has BPD?
When Kristen has. They should have done a split screen and have one smile and one like normal face and like have like lightning or something. And Tom goes, it describes your behavior. I worry about you. We had these combos together and you were supposed to see a therapist. And Kristen's like, we were in a self-destructive relationship. Absolutely. Yep. Was I that way when I was younger? Absolutely.
Younger.
We were like head to head with each other, running each other absolutely crazy. But I love when anybody goes, was I a horrible person? Absolutely. Have I been a horrible person my whole life? Absolutely. Like, I love that she fully admits it but still we're supposed to pity her. Like, and this is not good at the same time.
Yeah. When you ask when you ask like a hypothetical and answer it like absolutely as if it's like, okay, that's not good. That's all right.
And Andy jumping, hey, do you feel like you're in a different place now? Kristen goes, absolutely. Andy goes, do you feel happy now? So happy. And Andy goes,
happy.
You look happy. And Kristen goes, I told them a week ago, thanks for putting your foot down, Tom, and saying it's really over, because I never would have left because we were so codependent.
Oh my
God. Am I mistaken though? She says, I told them a week ago. Like, are
Yep.
we this close to this situation still? Like, I told them a week ago. Like, what was that? Like, Kristen told Tom a week ago, thanks for actually putting a stop to this relationship.
I think that she doesn't mean like it only happened a week ago. I think that a week ago she just happened to randomly be like, by the way, I just wanted to say thanks so much.
Hey,
And
P.S.
thanks.
Thank
They're
you.
like, thank you, Kristen.
Yeah.
It was
Why are
just
you
an
outside our door right
It was
now?
just
Like,
an
knock,
excuse
knock,
for her to
knock.
call. Like, you know,
No,
she's looking for
she
any
showed up at the
excuse.
door.
Oh,
She's
yeah,
like,
there you
knock,
go.
knock, knock. Hey, guys, it's me, Kristen. I was just thinking, I was doing some journaling, and I just think that thank you for breaking up with me officially, because it's really, I feel like it's good. Anyways, I'm going to go bang one of your friends.
Can I borrow a condom?
Yeah. By the way, bud, I'm out of the condoms you left at our place. Do you? I feel like you're a safe man. Also, this is probably gross, but like, did Sandoval wear condoms with Kristen?
That's what but you know what? Doesn't that kind of prove he knew she was cheating?
That's what I was thinking. Was that like, there must be like, Tom must have been that not trusting of her, where he's like, don't know what I'm going to catch, you know?
Yeah. He was like, yeah, you are not faithful. So wrapping it up.
Or did Kristen go the other way and go, I don't know where you've been. I don't trust you. You better use a condom with me. Like, what if she reverse psychology did, knowing that she was cheating?
Or when he would use a condom, she'd be like, why are you using condoms, Tom? What have you been doing? Just, it could go in circles forever.
And Andy goes, Sheena, does she seem happy now? And Sheena starts tearing up in Sheena fashion. Like, this is like Sheena. She goes, I think she's in a happier place. And I think Tom and Ariana are in a happy place. As hard as it is, we did make up. And these are two of my best friends. Like, it's so hard for me to be in the middle of this. But I'm honestly, and I'm sorry to say this, I've never seen Tom so happy. The smile on his face, he's smitten. And Ariana is so happy. But I love the phrasing of, I don't want to be in the middle of this. Like, she is actively involved in this.
And why is she crying?
Like, she's active. This is hurting. This is tearing her. She's feeling more pain than anybody in this situation.
Oh my God.
And Kristen goes, guess what, Sheena? That's how we were 5.5 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And
that is the perfect line.
Sheena goes, I didn't know you then. And I was like, I don't, that could be true. I didn't know you then.
I cannot corroborate that.
And Tom goes, it's different, Kristen. And Sheena's like, Kristen, when you and I hung out recently, you seemed happier. And Andy, of course, going, hey, we're going to switch gears for a second.
I love the switch gears. Love switch gears.
Yeah, it's always like, well, let's put that on pause. We're going to get over to this other topic. Jax, one of the oddest moments was when you wound up in jail. So what exactly happened?
And see, Jax just has the time of his life when they bring up shit like this. He's like, yeah, let's go to this.
He's like,
me.
He goes, which time? He's like a total bad boy. He's like, which time are you talking about?
Which time? Because I've been there a lot.
There was a time where I thought I was like really trying to give theory to, could Jax pull off like a Dexter like serial killer? You know, because he's like comes off as such like, well, I don't know, I don't even pay my bills. But at the same time, he's like secretly living not just a double life in cheating, but just a double life of sociopathy, you know?
Ryan, I have said multiple times that if they were like, 5 bodies uncovered in the backyard of Jax Taylor, I'd be like, I am not surprised.
Oh no. Oh, no, never. I was gonna make not gonna make a joke. Okay. Anyways, yeah, I can see. I just sometimes find it hard. Like Jax, because here's what Jax does. Jax just watches other people, and this is another thing of sociopaths. Watches other people and then really copies what they do and says what they say. I did this TikTok a long time ago. I think it was like a year ago, where Jax is a Netflix lover. Jax, he's always watching the new thing on Netflix, always giving his opinion, loves true crime, loves to he's a real entertainment geek. And Kanye West did a guest spot on the this week my next guest is with David Letterman on Netflix. And Kanye West in that interview says, my brain it's swollen. Like you know, like, what are you going to take medicine? You got to let it heal. You got to let it heal naturally.
Oh, yeah.
My brain is bruised. And like, what do you do with a bruise? You let it heal. Kanye says this, I shit you not. The next season, Jax literally says, my brain is bruised. It's got to heal. You got to. And I was like, that motherfucker, I know, watched that episode with Kanye, took it and ran with it. Cause like, he was self-diagnosing himself, because Randall, even then at one point, like tried to pay for therapy for Jax. And it came out of the reunion that he never went. Lala was like, Rand set up appointments for you and you never went.
Didn't he say it was like a tire blew out? Didn't he come up with like car trouble too as the excuse?
I'm sure this guy's had more car trouble. It's always car trouble. Like, so Jax is like, which time? And Annie's like, how many times you been to jail? And he goes, quite a few. And Lisa goes, recently, Jax. And he goes, probably 5 times. And Annie's like, for what?
Bullshit.
He goes, just stupid. I killed a hobo. He goes, just stupid stuff, drunk, public fighting, DUIs. And Andy's like, wow. Like, Andy's kind of turned on. He's like, wow, great.
Oh, Andy is so turned on. It's unbelievable.
Like, you truly are a bad boy. And he's like, so what happened this time? And Jax goes, well, I didn't get my insurance yet and my license was suspended. And then we get a flashback to the show and it says, he tells him it was a warrant from when he was 24. And Andy goes, you told a different story on the show. And Jax goes, oh, maybe I'm not, maybe it was a different, maybe I'm thinking about a different arrest. So he's already getting caught in a lie. And Stassi goes, I've had a theory, Stassi says, that I think something serious happened. And now I know I'll never get the truth. And Andy says, you describe jail as not that big of a deal experience. And he goes, I've been so many times, it's not that big of a deal. And Andy goes, did you have to get to know your roommate in jail, or were you in the orange jumpsuit? And he goes, LA County, it's blue. And Andy goes, bet it made your eyes pop.
Oh my God.
Like, oh my God, dude. And Jax goes, it did. And Andy goes, did anyone make you their bitch? And Jax goes, no. And then Stassi goes, cause I wasn't there. And then everybody has a good laugh. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're just laughing about
this
jail.
This is what makes it Vanderpump Rules, early Vanderpump Rules. So
this is the other thing that gets brought up now is Andy goes, so you couldn't make your one call because you didn't know anyone's number. I guess this was a time before cell phones, or I think cell phones existed, but Jax didn't have a cell phone that
I don't think you can. I think they take your phone. So they're like, you can make one call.
Okay.
Right.
I've never been arrested, to jail. So I don't know, but it sounds like you could anyway. So didn't know the number to Sir, and Jax goes, that's true. And Stassi said, you called Sir, and Jax goes, well, I didn't have any numbers. They take all your stuff. So I didn't have phone numbers or anything. I gave some guy some food and told the guy to call his girlfriend and to call Sir. So that girl called Sir and told Peter I was in jail because I didn't even call my parents. I wanted to call Sir, which is like, you want a cookie? You want an award? Like, what? I mean, I don't understand. This is my theory on this, that Jax was not arrested. He just did. He went on a bender. I bet that girl was just some random girl he was hooking up with. Like, hey, call him and tell him I went to call him and tell him I'm in jail right now.
Right.
Yeah. Like I have a feeling
I don't think he went to jail at all.
Yeah. Like, I don't think there was jail I believe he's been to jail. We've seen pictures, but I don't believe this time. I don't know what's season 2.
I want to look up. I'm looking up Jason Taylor arrest. Can't we look? Because isn't this shit public record?
Could be.
Okay. So what 2000, let me just guess 2000, let's see, 9 years ago. So 2015, let's just see if something comes up. I don't think this motherfucker was not arrested.
Yeah, I mean, I truly don't.
Like, wouldn't we even have like I would think even a mugshot would come up. Nothing's even coming up. No one's even. Oh, I have a mugshot. Okay, I have a mugshot. Can you see?
Yeah, but that's the Sunglass Hut one. That's the
That's
Hawaii
the Sunglass Hut one.
That's Sunglass Hut. That's because he gets
Nothing
arrested
else.
the next season at the Sunglass Hut in Hawaii because he stole glasses.
But
I know that image like the back of my hand.
So, but wouldn't there be like 100 pictures of his, like how Marlo Hampton on Atlanta? Wouldn't we have all those? I think this.
Also, this is like just for the judicial system. If anybody in control is listening, I feel like you should be able to sell mugshot as like prom picture packages. Like I want 3 3x5s, an 8x10. I want and especially for famous people, they should be able to sell yours online. Like they should be able to sell Lindsay Lohan shirts, all that stuff of mugshots because they own that mugshot and you did something wrong. So it's a way to like kind of pay, the cost of prison is so expensive. So anyways, Jax is like, yeah. And Stassi says, yeah, I guess I would call you guys too. And Andy goes, you didn't even call when you quit, Stassi. There's something else you want to mention. You brought your friend from Beverly Hills for a dinner party, Lisa. And Lisa goes, that was interesting. And we get a flashback to Joyce and her husband, which I forgot about her husband.
Right.
Like what a scary, I'll tell you something, like very interesting voice. But I had forgotten all about Joyce completely.
Yeah, she was forgettable.
Andy goes, what were your takeaway seeing this on Vanderpump Rules? The staff talking about your friends in the back hallways. And Lisa goes, that's the reality of it. I was between a rock and a hard place. I felt bad for Sheena. And I have Brandy and Joyce. It was like, oh my God, just get me out of here. And Sheena goes, I will say, you two, Stassi, you were so hilarious that night. And there's a flashback of Stassi going, I hate rich people. They annoy me. That's why I only date poor people. Stassi, she does say potentially good lines and gives good talking head. Like it's like there is a humor to Stassi that I think is now overused by everyone. Like
agreed.
I don't think she created this style, but there is this flippant valley girl, rich girl. I just, she just knows how to word it better than a lot of people do.
I agree. No, I agree. She can get away with a lot.
Yeah.
Because she's got a funny tone to it.
Yeah. She's able to sell it. Sheena was like, well, I liked it because it was like all the things that we say about people, but it was on camera. And Andy goes, Jax, you thought Joyce was LaToya Jackson.
Oh my God, I forgot.
And there's a flashback to Jax talking to Peter and Kristen. And Jax is like, it's full on like Brandy. And I want to say LaToya Jackson. And when I heard the yelling, I was like, why was LaToya Jackson yelling at Brandy for being a racist? I love Jax's pop culture knowledge of like that. He thought that was one of the Jackson family. He's like, is that Janet? It's LaToya. Is that Tito? And
that is amazing.
Andy then follows up saying like, well, were you wearing your glasses? Are your glasses real? Or are they prescription or fake? And Jax goes, fake. And of course Jax has a fake. Like, of course Jax doesn't wear real glasses. Like, of course they're fake. We go to a new scene and Andy says, let's lighten the mood a little bit. That was
Tom, pretty light.
Yeah, that was, yeah, you're right. Tom, you're cool with me. You're from St. Louis. I'm from St. Louis. As a personal gift for me, will you show us your imitations of Sheena's dance moves? And Tom's like, it just happened. Like she jumps around and then goes on the ground and then she comes up and she shimmies the butt and you got to do the split and then the hair whip and it falls slowly to the floor. And Sheena loves it because it's about Sheena. She's like, in my next performance, you're a background dancer. Like,
Sheena is so happy that this is an entire moment just for her.
At BravoCon, so when she got to do Good as Gold at one of the Watch What Happens Live, I talked to Brock at the Sandoval show and she was like, hey, mate, she really needed that, mate. It made her feel so good and everybody was so happy. And I talked to Sheena I said, Sheena, good, because I unabashedly love Good as Gold, like not even as a joke. I just think it's a fun song.
Totally.
And I was like, Sheena, you did it. She's like, I know. It was, you could tell it really meant something to her. And that's those moments where you could see the humor in it from an audience's perspective, but for her, it was like, wow, they asked me to sing Good as Gold, and arguably, I mean, I think that's one of the better bops. I mean, would you say Good as Gold is better, worse, or the same as On Display by Melissa Gorga?
Better.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Better.
But I think so too.
On Display just gets stuck in your head.
Yeah, well,
on display, it just gets stuck in your head.
I do love that we did get to see the makings of not only On Display, but we got to see Scheana in the studio. I love being in the stew with these people, and it really is so. It's great when any housewife star has pop star ambitions, because it almost 100% guarantees that they will never be a pop star.
Absolutely,
like in the way that they think they envision it in their head. Like Luann's a cabaret performer, barely, like it's just never the way they see it. So the way they lie to themselves sometimes, it's fascinating to watch on these shows. Andy says, to Scheana, your engagement, you couldn't have been surprised. And Scheana goes, I wasn't surprised that it happened, but how it happened. And we get a flashback to Rob asking her to marry her at Lisa's backyard. And Scheana says,
to Rob.
Oh, Shay. Rob. Wait. Yeah.
You meant Shay.
Shay.
I
didn't mean Rob. Rob's later. Rob's.
That is fun. I love that.
But that's another thing I love about Scheana, is that Scheana, in that relationship with Rob that she immediately got in after her marriage,
who she really loved, she said.
They were already in, like, 4 months in, they were taking naked black and white photos, professional photos.
Professional.
Like, have you not seen them?
No.
Oh my God. I'll have to send you one. It is, because it's Scheana, like, on Rob's side, like, look, like her arm, and he's just looking directly at the camera, and they're both nude.
What?
Yeah, it's wild. There's a whole series of them. I'm not even making this up. Andy says, Scheana, after the engagement, you said you were winning. How competitive does it get with all the women of SUR to land a guy and get a ring and all that stuff? And Scheana says, well, Stassi was happy, and Katie and Schwartz are good. And Katie says, well, I never felt pressured. I feel my relationship is going the right way, which we obviously know now in retrospect, it did not go the right way at all.
She pressured the fuck out of Schwartz.
Yeah, I mean the promise ring at Sheena's wedding, and I mean the whole thing. I mean, she got married on a Wednesday, and I don't know, the whole thing. I'm excited to see Katie this season. I'm excited to see her bounce back. Scheana says at Katie's B-Day, she says she's practically engaged, first of all, and I wasn't going to give a lap dance. Oh yeah, they're talking about this scene where Scheana gave Peter a lap dance and Tequila Katie freaked out on her.
Oh man, that was a good scene.
Yeah.
And my fucking boyfriend is sticking up for the horn there.
I mean, some people alcohol just isn't for. Yeah. Like there are certain people that can handle their alcohol, certain people but Katie has just never been one of those people. No. And she, she's got it shown to her over and over again. When's the last time we've actually seen her become Tequila Katie? Like, I feel like she did rein it in, or am I mistaken?
No, she did, because like last season we didn't see it at all from what I remember.
I mean, that actually potentially makes her one of the smarter people on Vanderpump Rules, because it means she learned from her behavior.
Yeah, I don't think we saw it at all, because Schwartz took the cake last season in that dynamic.
Well, my theory always was Schwartz would get blackout drunk so he could cheat. He was one of those people that actually truly felt guilty, because Katie, I think, is his best friend. Like, I do believe that. I do believe you get into these long-term relationships, that's your best friend that you're used to. But at the same time, he's like, I also am a dude and I want to hook up. And I think he would get blackout drunk, so it would give him an excuse to actually do the things that he wanted to do, and he was never brave enough to end that relationship. I truly think he would have stayed in that relationship for the rest of his life, but he would have been miserable. And Katie was the one that pulled the ripcord to get out of that. And that's why Katie might not be as charming as Schwartz at all. But Katie, I always think, like, that takes great strength to do, because he did not want out of that.
Yeah. No, Katie wanted him to want traditional shit. Like, she wanted him to want to get married and have the kids. And Schwartz, I think, would have flourished in a like non-traditional relationship with Katie for a long time. Like if they were like open and cool and like if she was down for that. But once he had to do the marriage and all that stuff, I just think he shut down.
Yeah.
But Katie wanted that. So he gave it to her.
Katie says, well, I wouldn't have handled it that way. For sure. That was Tequila Katie. And we laugh about it. And then Andy goes, for sure, you had a rough night at Kyle Richards' party. You had some issue with a gray tooth.
Oh.
And we get a flashback to Scheana telling Brandy about her gray tooth, which is just also just amazing because this is a woman that, cheated with Brandy's ex-husband, Eddie Cibrian. And I just think that's always just a fun fact that people always forget. And Andy says, does Scheana need to appreciate that more to be, cautious around Brandy? And Lisa's like, yes, all I told her was she really, no, Scheana goes, all I told her was she looked really beautiful. She's the one who said something to me. It's not fair for me to lose money and lose shifts. And Lisa goes, it doesn't matter. And Scheana was like, it was 7.5 years ago. Move on. And Scheana gives a smile. How old is Scheana here? And it was 7.5 years ago. Like I thought it was for some reason more recent than that.
That's a good point. How was it 7.5 years ago? That's a good point.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Wait, what?
That's a good point.
Andy goes, well, moving on. Jax, I want to talk to you about your health this season. You had a cancer scare. And Jax is like, well, I wouldn't say a cancer scare. And Andy goes,
I got that from you.
Got that from you, man. Like you said that. Like, and he goes,
you said that, dumbass.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he goes, and there's a flashback of Jax talking to Stassi. And she's like, well, what did the doctor say? And he's like, he said what you never want to hear from a doctor. I said, don't tell me, doc. It's not what I think it is it? And the doc couldn't tell me, man. He couldn't, so I think I have, it's cancer. I'm pretty sure it's cancer.
Pretty sure.
Yeah. And Jax was like, well, I was doing that one thing you do where, your mind goes to the worst thing. And I was like, yeah, but you're also then lying on top of that thing and saying that you had cancer,
Yeah. You weren't saying my mind is going to the worst thing. You were saying the doctor is saying it could be the worst thing.
And the thing was that he just have like a calcium buildup in his tit because of all the steroids and shit he was taking. Like that's what it was that there was a buildup because he was taking so much shit to get ripped. Yeah. That was it. So,
exactly.
But sometimes I like on my darkest days with my body, I sometimes
don't even get me started.
I'd take steroid, like if I could get it for free, I'd take steroid,
there's a whole, have you heard of Ozempic? I shouldn't even bring this up.
Yeah. Is this the Kardashian one? Is that where it's like for diabetics or something, but you lose like 2 pounds a week on it.
Yeah.
Believe me.
I'm convinced Kyle is on it from Beverly Hills.
Oh, I think it's
like a thing. It's the thing. Yeah.
I was looking through I was looking through iPhone photos and sometimes I'll like just type in a name or a word and like see what pops up. And like these pictures from like 13 years ago or maybe 15 years ago. Remember that ultra skinny period in Hollywood?
Oh yeah.
When like Lindsay and Nicole Richie got like insanely thin, like scary thin. Yep. It was like allegedly Coke had taken over Hollywood and they just weren't like, I remember that. And I was looking at those photos going like, I totally forgot. Like, and you look at Lindsay now and it's like voluptuous, like great weight, like I would not. And it's just like that. Oh, that's skinny. It's just so, and to think that they thought they looked beautiful or hot and you're like, ooh.
Well, and Khloe Kardashian and Kim are getting to that point. Like Khloe, especially. There was this new thing recently where she's like thinner than they were fitting her for something. I don't watch the show because my body image issues can't handle the show. Because
it was Jeremy Scott, the designer. He was like, "Girl, you are skinnier than models," and Kim was like, "Skinny mini," and jealous of like Khloe is starting to look like Slender Man. Like it's not.
This isn't
not
good. This is. We should be concerned. She posted something too where you can just see her rib cage. I'm like, guys, let's stop. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But Andy says, okay, well, time to talk about the elephant in the room, Kristen and Jax. Stassi, the first time you heard the rumor about Kristen and Jax, you were inclined to believe it. Why? And she's like, well, I feel like I get a sixth sense about things sometimes. And it's during a time we weren't getting along. And Sheena and I were always commenting, why are Kristen and Jax so oddly close? I know that Kristen spent the night at Jax's house. And Kristen goes, it's not like we wanted to be in a relationship together. And Stassi goes, I wish you would have. It would have made it a lot better. It's disgusting that it was just I needed to get laid. It's gross. I mean, like, that is true. Like, I know what she's saying is that like,
I know what she's saying too.
If you actually liked him, if your heart was in it, but you just wanted a bang, like there was something carnal about this.
Yes.
That was, and that's just gross to even think about Jax, who's like, I have needs as a man. And she's like, I have needs as a woman. And like, but it's like, it's just so
the story of it too, how they were like on the couch watching Drive. And then they just
tell us your interpretation of how you, because I always I always threaten the audience with, I'm going to one day write a 1-act play of that night where it's just a couch on a stage. And how do you, in your head, how do you picture it? Like how does it go? Because also,
great question.
This is the other thing. Sandoval must be so trusting, because if I had a friend like Jax that I would go out with and he would see with everything that moved, there's no fucking way I'm going to bed. Like, there's no way that I'm going to bed while he's there. So how does Sandoval get comfortable enough to go to sleep where he's like, I'm going to go crash in the bedroom. You got to hang out. Like, he's what?
Yeah, I envision like no talking. So I envision them on opposite ends of the couch. And then Kristen, because Kristen is like, they're drunk for sure. And because Kristen's always drunk. And so I envision Kristen just like feeling just like she needs attention and starting to, and I envision her foot like sneaking over to like rub him to see like if he'll reciprocate. And then like him kind of being clearly in like, all right, I'm into it. And then like just making it clear that she's continuing and then just giving him head. And then him being like, all right. And then her getting on top of him.
Okay, because I found it hard to believe, like,
because when he said that he returned the favor, I was like, I really don't think that happened.
Yeah, Jax is not that sharing.
I was like, no, he didn't.
Yeah, but I was thinking, like, how do you do that? Because that really is deranged. If that happens and you go and there's no kissing involved, because like you would think that it'd be like drunken making out, and then it just like then it got increased. But we went straight to blowjob supposedly. I also thought in my head it was Jax that was doing the testing of the foot to the Kristen's foot. And also I always have the theory of the movie was Drive, and I've seen that movie. I like that movie, but I don't think Jax could understand or appreciate that kind of movie or the subtleties in that movie. So I picture he's like if it was Fast and Furious or like Transformers, Jax would be totally like, oh, I understand this, but I don't think he understood Drive. So he was like, fuck it. Like, I don't know. Like, you touch my foot?
Isn't there a sex scene in Drive? There's like a famous sex scene in Drive, isn't there?
I don't really, to be honest. I mean, I don't know if it's famous, but I just remember that jacket that he wore and that he liked to drive.
I know, because when I type in Ryan Gosling in YouTube,
wait. When I type in Ryan Gosling sex all the time, this is what comes up.
Well,
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I've done it many times. And I type in Ryan Gosling, it'll be like Ryan Gosling it'll be like sex scene Drive. And I've never actually watched the movie, so I don't have any context.
So you're saying maybe they got to the sex scene in Drive and were so inspired by what was occurring on
Well, I just feel like if you're watching a sex scene next to someone and it's like maybe you're like, oh, and then I believe Kristen instigated it.
Oh, definitely. I mean, well, no, I don't. No. I think it's very. But also there had to have been some lead up of some kind of flirtation. This couldn't have been out of the blue. And I also just will never understand Sandoval trusting either of them enough to go to bed.
Because the Drive night was the first time, right?
I believe so, yeah. And then the second time, we don't really know the situation because one time was with a condom and one time was without. So does Kristen go into the room and grab Sandoval's condoms again while he's asleep?
First time's with the condom?
Well, I don't know. But she says we find out like in the last scene, he's like one time with, one time without.
I think the first time was without, because there's no way she would have been able to grab a condom.
So it was without, and then he was like, you know what? I feel safer with a condom this time.
I think that he thought about it. He's like, Kristen's been a lot of places.
No, just say, yeah, if she'll do this with me, who knows who else?
Who knows?
But I do love the thought of Kristen also being ballsy enough to go into the bedroom while Sandoval's
he's
asleep to get a condom, you know? And by the way, I just love the case of the missing Sandoval condoms. He's like, I swear to God, I had 7 condoms and they just keep disappearing. Where are these condoms going? Like, I don't understand. And
if you guys don't watch this on YouTube, you're missing out on so much physical comedy that Ryan does.
But this is truly, I think, what makes Stassi kind of like very interesting of like, well, you came up with a pretty good plan to get on Kristen's phone and text Jax about the rumor pretending to be Kristen. My mind would not have thought of this. And it really is a good idea. And there's a flashback to Stassi going, I can't stop thinking about that you and Jax thing. I feel like I'm going to throw up. And Kristen's like, you need to get over it. And Sandoval's there in this scene too. And Stassi's like, there is a way for me to get over it. You're going to give me your phone and I'm going to have a full conversation with Jax as you. And Sandoval is there and he's like, what?
His face is like, what? He literally
like,
looks like his jaw is on the floor. Like, how did you even think of this?
What? I don't know why my camera did. He's like, yeah, it's truly like, wait, why did my camera just dip out? One sec.
Are you on a camera?
I'm on a virtual background. Is still a use video. One second. Okay, there you go. Yeah, it's really weird. Yeah, he's like, I don't understand what you're going to use technology to like trick somebody. And Andy goes, did it ever occur to you that Kristen may have thought of that first, that you would do that? And Stassi goes,
Stassi would have.
Yes.
Oh, Kristen would have. How did Kristen think of it? Kristen knows Stassi that diabolical.
But also that makes Kristen just as diabolical. And that's why it's so fascinating is that Kristen was thinking 10 steps ahead. And Stassi goes, yes. So when I went over to do that, it was in my head. She may have already texted Jax, but I was like, this is the only way that I can possibly find out. And Andy says, Kristen, you already texted Jax and said what?
Oh my God.
And Kristen says, I texted, holy shit, I think she might go through my phone at some point. So from some point on, I will never text you about this. And then she goes, we had multiple texts about it. And then at one point, no offense, Jax isn't the smartest. So I'm going to fake text him just to make sure, like, I didn't know, like I'm just going to test him to make sure, like, I didn't know because she's going to grab my phone. Is he going to grab my phone? Because it's something I would have done. And Jax goes, it was pretty complicated. I don't know. It really shows you. I mean, this was a level of deceit that you really don't see a lot of times.
I'm sorry, but this is outstanding. Like, it's absolute. Really like, come on now. Like, Kristen outsmarted Stassi. Like, you thought Stassi was smart. Kristen went, hold on, no. Yeah, she is going to do that with my phone. So I am going to tell Jax,
like, hold my menthols. Yeah.
From this point forward, I will never text you about this. And he's like, okay. But she's like, he's so stupid. I'm going to just text him just real quick, a test text.
Yeah.
And he's like,
he goes, what? I don't even know a Kristen Doute. I've never heard of a Kristen Doute. And Kristen goes, my mind works the same way hers does. I wanted it to go away like it never fucking existed. And then Tom goes, why did you do it twice then? Like, it's like, I mean, it is true. Yes. And Kristen goes, that's something I can't justify.
She can't justify it.
And Stassi goes, well, Tom was asleep in the other room.
Yeah.
That part is true. And Kristen goes, yes. And Tom goes, why would you do that? Like, I was just trying to be close to you at the time. I would try to be nice and fun or whatever. And you were constantly putting me down. Social situations, always. And I thought he was about to say, I needed sleep that night. Why would you do this? Like, you potentially could have awoken me. And Andy goes, when you watch the show, Kristen, do you see yourself putting him down a lot? She's like, totally. It was horrible.
It was horrible.
I mean, maybe we watched the show together once or twice and I was awful to him. And Tom was like, you would say we were are we even together? Like, why are we? And I'm like, because I love you. And Kristen was like,
Yes.
I wanted your attention, Tom, from you. I was your mom. I was your maid. And he's like, you're not my mom or maid, Kristen. Like, he's like, no, there's no, like, literally, I know of my mom. You're not her. And I do love the fact that, because it also seems like, it doesn't seem like that was Kristen's strong suit either, of like cleaning up. You know,
like Kristen's completely making shit up. Like she's completely turning into like she's like, we were just roommates. That's not working. I was your mom. That's not working. I was your maid. None of this is working, Kristen. We watched the show.
Yeah. And Kristen goes, well, that's how I felt. You know, it's seriously cold fucking blooded, both of you guys. And Stassi's like, yeah, it's both of them. Like, you sat there, Kristen, during that time. And Kristen's like, I couldn't even stand to be with you in the apartment at that time. And I fucked Jax in our apartment. Like, and Andy goes, Jax, you said, and Kristen's like, I'm not proud of myself. Like, the fact that I'm even owning up to this to myself, like, I'm so sorry. And it's not enough. And Tom's like, look, and Kristen's like, there's nothing I can say. There's no excuse. All I can say is I'm sorry. And that's not good enough. And Andy goes, Jax, why did you save all those text messages from her? Had you always planned to? And Jax goes, expose her? No. Like, he knew where Andy was going. He goes, I know the word when I was planning on. Yes, expose her. No, I wasn't going to do that.
No. But
it's nice
saved
sometimes.
Them, though.
Sometimes painful things will be fun to save on your phone, just for memories to like reflect on. And Tom's like, he probably wanted to use it as leverage. You would throw somebody under the bus for a dime, for anything, for a free beer. You have no integrity. And he goes, no, I don't. He's like, yeah, you're right. No, I don't. He goes, Lisa's like, you have no loyalty to anybody, so you can call him your friend and you dump on him. And Ariana jumps in. She's like, the stuff you said afterwards was like salt on the wound.
Fucking brutal.
And Tom was like, I've always had your fucking back, man. And he goes, you're right. There's no excuse for what I did. And Katie's like, you have no remorse. And Ariana's like, at the beach. And Kristen's like, Ariana, shut up. This literally has nothing to do with you, which it totally kind of does. So it's like,
absolutely does.
You have nothing to do with this. Shut up. And Tom goes, yes, it does. And Kristen's like, Ariana, I'm so sick of hearing your voice. You don't know
barely
him.
Talked.
You don't know him. You don't know me. And then Tom goes, well, get used to it, Kristen. And Kristen's like, you're not friends with any of us besides Sheena. And Sheena's like, yeah, they said my name. And and Lisa goes, stop it right now. Stop it right now. She's got every right to be here. And Andy's like, a lot of people, including Lady Gaga, who tweeted Lady Gaga. Did you go onto Twitter and look for this? I went to Lady Gaga's account to look for this. She must have deleted it. But Lady Gaga back in the day, was a big Vanderpump Rules fan and tweeted that Lisa should fire, like, why didn't you fire Kristen? Which is like
amazing.
That makes sense. Like, why didn't you fire Kristen? And Kristen goes, that was so painful. Like, that was like, that's when hurt. Lady Gaga came at me. That was really hurt. I really like Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
And Lisa goes, I upset myself. I have every reason to fire her. But you have to understand that she's been on this downward spiral, and it's kicking someone who's just literally a piece of shit, just like a dog, just a dirty dog shit. And she's in an emotional place, and I have to have some loyalty. I don't like the way she talks to me, and I think she's disrespectful. I put up with a lot of crap, but we're a family.
No.
And Andy goes, it's so wonderful. He's like, no, there's still a lot of love in this room.
Oh my God. Lisa, just admit that's because you don't want to lose her from the show.
Like, she's good TV. Like, I mean, by the way, it's also, we're sophisticated audiences where you can say it's okay. Like, we can handle it at this age. Like, we can handle that. You can tell us like, well, she makes these moments and they're like really cool. And then we like, the audience likes to watch them, Like, I mean, that's what it is.
I like that the reason she finally does get fired is the suck a dick.
Yeah,
moment.
that's too far.
That's
like sucking Jax's actual dick of like an employee there. You're like, oh, nothing. There's no like ramifications of like what it means to Ariana or Tom, other staff members, but that is too far. So Andy goes, so after Jax admitted this to you, you organized a night out, Stassi, in front of all your friends. You decided to do a public execution. And we get a flashback to just one of the most iconic scenes in reality show history. Yep. Where Kristen is like, they're saying I banged Jax. And Stassi says, Jax, say what you told all of us. Yeah. And Jax is just in the corner. Good. Like he's just in the corner.
Up against the wall.
And he goes, yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. We slept together.
Yeah.
And Tom goes, it was like a surprise party, but it was like, hey, surprise, I fucked your girlfriend. Like,
which is such an accurate depiction
of
what it was.
But also, what a horrible surprise party theme.
Yeah, like wow, that actually, when he said that, I'm like, that is exactly what it was.
That if anybody throws a surprise party for me, have it be a Tom Sandoval, I fucked your girlfriend surprise party.
Noted.
He goes, everyone in the room knows I was the last person to know. Instead of being a man and coming to me off to the side and telling me in private, you decided to have a big surprise party about it, which is so true. Like nobody thought to warn Sandoval. Like everybody knew. The staff knew, like the like they were at a restaurant, like everybody knew. Everybody was like, hey, we're doing this big thing. Don't tell that guy.
It's about his girlfriend.
And Andy goes, how many times did you practice what you were going to say that night? And Stassi goes, what do you mean practice? And Tom goes, the thick excitement in your face, Stassi. And Stassi's like, well, like I'm crazy, like I'm a terrible person. I'm getting the truth out of Kristen after she publicly humiliated me. No, fuck, I'm going to fucking publicly humiliate her. And Tom goes, and you were so excited about it. 40% up, 40% upset, but the rest of you had joy in it to bash someone down. And this is when Stassi starts crying.
Sobbing.
Like, I was like, I didn't see this. Was like surprising to me too.
You didn't see it coming. Not at all. Didn't see it coming.
In acting, you guys, we always talk about acting on this show. And it's like, this is what you call when you shift tactics. Like, you know, like if you're not getting what you want, you shift your tactic. I'm going to try to get it another way. So Stassi is standing up for herself going like, fuck yeah, I'm going to do this. It's not working or not working to the degree she wants it to work. So she shifts gears. She goes to tears and starts crying. And Tom is like, he's like, you're rubbing your hands together, knowing how much attention you're going to get from this. And Stassi's like, fuck you, Tom. Don't say fuck you. You've practiced in the fucking mirror. And Katie goes, she deserves this. And Tom's like, deserve what, man? I don't sit there and like not relish in it and have joy in it. And Stassi's like, why do you have to tag me? It is, but it's like really effective. Like it's like, yeah, like part of me was like, wow, why is he like, you know, like it is because what do you think Tom's in the right here, right?
You know, like because okay, it's different having you reenact it because now when Tom has a lisp, I'm like he's
much more sympathetic.
Yeah, I'm like now
I'm also doing him with a limp as well. You just can't see it. Yeah, he's Richard III. Yeah.
So now that you're doing Tom, I'm like, hey man, leave Tom alone. Yeah. So but when I was watching it, I have to go back to that. So I mean, no one considered Tom's feelings at all. That is absolutely true. She definitely just wanted to take Kristen down, and there was zero concern for like, wait a minute, Tom is involved in this, guys. Like Tom also did get cheated on with his best friend and girlfriend.
Well, I wonder if there was something there too of like Stassi thought about telling Tom, but was like,
he'll just tell Kristen.
No, I thought he's such a believer in people that he believes the best in everybody. So like it's going to actually make this worse. My surprise, he's going to ruin it. So like I think it was like,
which is kind of what I thought too. Yeah, like that's how I viewed it the first time, which was like, you'll just ruin it, Tom. You're not going to you're going to tell Kristen, and it's going to be like the surprise factor seemed justified.
Yeah.
But then when Tom said it like this was like a fucked up surprise party. I was like, oh, it was. It
really.
was
I mean,
like a
really. I mean,
fucked up
think about
surprise
it.
party.
This is why I'm saying, like, these are scars. Like, Tom can never have a surprise party again. Like, you ruin surprise parties for this man for the rest of his life. And like,
traumatized, PTSD forever.
Yeah. Every time Tom's at a surprise party, everything is like,
No.
And Tom's like, why do you attack everybody, Stassi? How about the entire summer? You attack me, you attack Kristen, you attack Jax. And then you guys, there's a shot of Jax looking perplexed, like, wait, did Tom just stand up for me? Like, wait, like he's like, I didn't see that. It's like Jen Shaw in Salt Lake when she's like, I can't believe it. People are buying this. They're like hanging out with me. Like, he truly looked confused.
He did. He's like, me?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
How
dare you, Stassi?
Yeah, Stassi.
How dare you?
Yeah.
And Stassi's like, you attack everyone. No, Stassi goes, everyone attacks everyone. And Tom's like, no, shut up, Stassi. You led the charge like 95% of the time. And Andy goes, why are you crying, Stassi? He's pinpointing. It's me. It's always about me.
Oh, yeah. Very Stassi.
And it's my birthday. And Tom's like, it's always about you, Stassi. Anything that happens, it's about you. But know what's fascinating about this? If you think back to how many fights over the years Sandoval and Stassi have had with each other, even with her book launch party at Tom Tom. Like, this is where you see, that's why it's fascinating to go back, because you can see the history between them as potential enemies of each other. So every time they fight, they're not just fighting for that current situation. They're fighting for the last 10 seasons.
100%. 100%.
So Stassi now gets up and storms off. You know, she saw Kristen do it. So she's like, okay, everybody can storm off.
I can do this too.
And Tom's like, yeah, go feel sorry for yourself, Stassi. You're so good at it. And then Katie's like, why are you attacking her? And Kristen goes, because he feels attacked. It's not his fault. It's not her fault. It's my fault and his fault. And Katie says, this is unnecessary. It's 3 years of aggression. And Tom goes, no, it's not. It's not Kristen. Stop talking for me. Kristen tried to stand up for Tom. And Tom's like, no, don't stand up for me.
Don't do that.
You're not my mom or my maid. You're not my defender.
You're not my fucking maid or my mom, okay? Get out of it.
And then Kristen immediately snaps and goes, fine, fucking defend yourself. You're an ass. And
I'm like,
and so I was like, okay. And Katie goes, you're saying Stassi making it about herself sounds like you're kind of trying to make it all about you right now, Tom. And Sheena goes, I'm saying,
Sheena's like, hold on.
Wait a sec. I want to take credit for some of this as well. She goes, it was a collective effort. It was a team effort. I was involved as well. I knew what was going to happen that night. And I knew she was going to confront Kristen. We all knew it wasn't just her. But once again, if you filter that through the Sheena thing, she was like, I was in on this conversation. I was a part of this scene. And
I don't want to be left out of this moment. Okay.
Yes.
Tom, direct some of your anger at me so I can be a part of this scene.
Tom, please yell at me like you've just yelled at Stassi. Like, please. And Tom's like, well, I'm talking about in general. Like, she always like, it's like, and Lisa comes back in with Stassi. Oh, God. And Lisa's like, all right, stop. You calm down. Okay, cool your jets. This is about her and him and her. And you've got to cool your jets and back off. And Andy says, Kristen, you're very contrite today. Do you feel like you deserved that slap from Stassi? And Kristen's like, yeah. And we get a flashback to the slap of like, you whore, you're disgusting. And it was like slap. I mean, really, but if you did that on Bravo today, you wouldn't be able to do that on Bravo today. You wouldn't be on the show still.
Nope.
And this is a fun fact that a lot of people don't know. This was a law instituted in 2007. It's called the Stassi slaps Kristen law, where I wish there was a law.
I would have kept going with that. We could have just kept going and never.
Well, we can't. Stassi slaps Kristen law, where a lot of young mothers fought for this, and it was a very emotional courthouse thing. It actually went up to the Supreme Court, and there was a 5-4 ruling in favor of not being able to slap. Of course, Clarence Clarence Thomas was in favor of slapping.
Yes.
But it was Ruth Bader voted against it.
Yep.
And it was a landmark case for reality shows.
Yeah. It was really great.
Would you ever like to go back to the days where you could slap people on Bravo?
Good question. And I'm going to go with no. I'm going to go with no, because that power falling in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
Not, when it's someone I would like to see slap, sure. But then if it's someone I don't want to see slapped, I'd be like, how dare you?
And Andy goes, do you regret slapping her? And Stassi goes, well, I go back and forth knowing that it's wrong and that hitting someone is never the answer. And then just feeling like you did so much worse. You destroyed everything. So I don't know. And Lisa goes, it's wrong, Stassi.
Lisa keeps needing to say this on camera. She's like,
yes,
you need to, for the record.
For the lawyer.
record.
My lawyer said I will have to blow up Sir with propane explosions if I ever get sued. Yeah. And Stassi goes, yeah, it's wrong, but I'm still holding on to that. And Kristen's like, the fact I'm sorry isn't good enough. And Stassi goes, the only thing you did is one small text to me saying, I'm sorry for the last 3 years, which is, by the way, such a passive aggressive text. I would have been pissed off with that text.
I'm sorry for the last 3 years. What do I do?
Be more
with
dramatic.
That?
You specify months.
Yeah.
And Kristen is like,
specify months.
Because there's
nothing, a date range.
There's nothing I can do to make it better. And I know that. And Katie says, Stassi's like, so you don't try? And Kristen said, you said it was done. And Kristen goes, I wrote you a 4-page letter, but I didn't give it to you.
And what the fuck does that matter then?
Also, where is that? That's
where's the letter? Did you bring it?
I would buy too. I want Christie's needs to do a Sotheby's auction of something of the letter that Kristen never sent to Stassi. And Kristen's like, if you want it, I can mail it to you. And Stassi's like, I shouldn't have to ask for something like that.
No.
And both girls are sniffling. And Andy says, Stassi, how frustrating that Tom hadn't accepted this had happened. And Stassi's like, yeah, I just didn't understand that. Then we get a flashback to Tom and Stassi. And he's like, I'm not going to take the first thing I hear from Jax. Oh, come on. That's crazy. I'm just not going to believe him. And Stassi's like, why would I want to make this up? And Tom says, you and Katie talked Kristen off before this rumor even surfaced. So I kind of feel like your motivation was not so much about the truth, but to separate everyone from Kristen as well. And Jax is like, what am I getting out of it? I'm losing a friend here as well. And Kristen's like, attention, Jax. And Tom's like, you were excited when you told me. You were smiling and laughing. And Kristen's like, why did you tell Stassi you didn't do it because you felt so bad that you needed to get it off your chest? And Jax is like, okay, you're right. No, you're right. And Ariana says, to hear Jax say the things about his friendship with Tom, like it never even existed, blows my mind. And it really saddens me to see him here and see these things. It's really fucked up. And Tom's like, lives got destroyed because Jax wants attention. Lives got destroyed. And he's like, you've known your girlfriend of 7 years, slept with your friend of 10 years, and you've had several months to digest this. Where have you come away feeling about it? And he's like, I pride myself on being naive, and I don't want that to, hang over me. But I just feel like I'm in a way, it's like, I don't think I can trust anyone, but I'm going to continue to be someone who deep down believes people are good, I always like to look for good in everyone, even Jax. Everyone talks shit about Jax, but I would always say good things to him. And Lisa's like, you're such a good guy, Tom. Tom, he does. He always looks for the best. And Tom's like, thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that.
God.
And Andy goes, Kristen, you lied and denied off the show and on the show to everyone here, mainly Tom and Stassi. What made you finally admit it? And Kristen goes, it ate away at my soul. I couldn't do it anymore. And he was so sad every day. And Andy says, Stassi, can you see yourself forgiving Kristen for sleeping with Jax? And Stassi's like, I've forgiven for myself. I've let it go. I didn't think I was going to get upset today, but I didn't, but I don't expect to be friends with her. And Kristen goes, yeah, I don't expect for you to bounce back, which is funny because they
bounce back.
But they do bounce back. They do bounce back and then they fall apart again. They bounce
time heals all, baby.
It is very interesting. But when you're in that young state, you really do think these things are forever. And Andy goes, I sat here last season and said, Jax, you're a pathological liar. Everyone was saying, God, you're such a pathological liar. This season, you swore on your family, Kristen.
Oof.
And there's a flashback where she's like, I swear on my nieces and nephews that I didn't sleep with Jax. Yeah. And Andy goes, wow. So I have to ask, are you a pathological liar? And she's like, no, I'm just a complete asshole. And Stassi sighs. And Andy goes, all right, that's fair.
That's fair.
Then they do that little interstitial scene that we talk about with and it's like a cute thing of like, Stassi, you got nude so much this season. Mm-hmm. And Tom's like, yeah, I feel like I know every crevice of your body. Like, and it's like
we were dating.
Yeah. It's like, I'm like, and then Andy goes, your body looks great. Would you strip for us today? And I'm like half expecting Andy to think she'd say yes. And she goes, no. And he's like, why not? He's like, because I'm wearing Spanx. And he goes, for what? And she goes, it holds it in. And that's that little cute interstitial of nudity. And, and so he goes, we're back with Lisa and the pump and the staff. Sure, between the annual photo shoot, gay pride, and blah, 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 you're always looking to get them out of their clothes. And she's like, it's good fun, Andy.
So just ridiculous.
And
my favorite thing that Lisa does is give them skimpy clothes to wear and then be like, you're so naughty.
Yeah.
You gave them. It's the uniform you gave them, girl.
Yeah, exactly. And Stassi's like, you led the charge. Oh, no. Andy says, Stassi, you led the charge and wound up smashed again.
Oh, my God.
We have a Peter flashback of Peter's Peter against Stassi. And Andy's like, how did you get yourself in that situation? And she's like, well, I just have this YOLO attitude sometimes. And then I regret it afterwards. And Andy says, do you consider that your initiation, Ariana? Because Ariana got nude too. And she's like, yeah. Would you ever get nude for your job?
No, I don't think I already have enough body image issues myself. I barely get nude for myself.
If Cloud 10 asks us to do a podcast photo shoot with everybody that they've acquired, I wonder if they could be like a Cloud 10, a sexy Cloud 10 podcast photo shoot. Anyways, this is like, as we're getting near the end, Stassi's like, Andy says, you had moments of weakness with Jax even after this. Why? And Stassi's like, well, he's trying so hard. It messed with my head. And Andy goes, Lisa, you were really rooting for them to get together, which is like the dumbest thing that you could root for. Like, this is truly like, you don't like. And Tom goes,
she just wanted good TV.
Yeah, you were getting to the point where you would get him back like almost close together, and then Jax would go bang someone else. And Stassi's like, Patrick, and he goes, Jax. And Jax is like, what did you call me? Ew. And Stassi's like, sorry. And Andy's like, you just called him by your current boyfriend's name, Freudian slip. Do you believe people can change? And Stassi's like, I do, but I don't believe Jax can.
And that's accurate.
Well, that's what makes me sad, though, because I do feel like Jax is probably still living in this kind of torture cell of pain because he truly hasn't done the work to change, I feel. No, I mean, I could be totally wrong, too.
Actually, what about this? He maybe has done the work to change, but can't.
Yeah, we are just who we are. We're not, we are our worst moments sometimes. Mm-hmm. Andy says, the moment Jax and Tom sat down at the beach, Tom wanted the details, and it's one of the most painful things I've seen in a while. And we get that flashback of the beach, and Sandoval is like, turns to him, he goes, did you use protection? And he goes, like, there's no feeling this. He goes, once. And he goes, did you kiss her or did she kiss you? And he goes, no kissing. That's for sure. And he's like proud of it. He's like, I would never do that to you, dude. No kissing, man. None.
Oh.
Just D into the V, man.
Oh.
And he's like, why did you want to know, Tom? He says, because I didn't believe it was true, and I needed the details. I wanted to know who initiated, how it happened, so I could piece it together in my mind. It was a way of making sure it was true. And Andy says, Jax, you drew the line at kissing. Is that more intimate than the rest? And Jax is like, yeah. And Kristen's like, I agree. Of course you would agree. But also, how dark. I mean, that must have just been just
so dark.
Thank God they didn't film it. Thank God they didn't film it, because now is the time Jax would have been desperate enough to release it for
yeah.
money of some sort.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Andy goes, does it feel better that way? And Stassi goes, it makes it worse.
Yeah.
And Kristen's like, I have no emotion. And Andy goes, why did you sleep with Jax? And Kristen goes, I have no justification. Do I have an emotional connection with him? No. And Andy goes, who initiated? And Kristen, I said, obviously to Jax, right?
Yeah. She points to like, duh.
But she goes, but I didn't push him away.
Yeah.
And Tom goes, what did happen? And Jax goes, I don't know. And Tom goes, at my house, I think you said she initiated it. And Kristen goes, did you say that, dying to know? And Stassi says, she said the second time Stassi goes, Jax, you said the second time she got in your bed naked. And Jax goes, do you have anything you want to, Andy goes, Jax, do you have anything you want to say to him, Lisa? Or I don't know, sorry. And Lisa goes, you should show some remorse, Jax. And Jax is like, I could say I'm sorry to Tom till I'm blue in the face. Wouldn't make a difference. You don't care about his feelings at all. And Jax goes, didn't cross my mind once. And Tom goes, Jesus, dude, I feel sorry for you, man. And Lisa's like,
that he says, I feel sorry for you.
Yeah, it's like wild. And Jax goes, at the time, I was just thinking about my feelings, which is totally true.
Yeah, duh.
Yeah, we were like, we know. I was thinking about me and little Jax's feelings.
Little Jax.
There. You know little Jax. And Jax is like, I don't remember being a dick to you. You sat me down. And Andy says, Jax, you didn't watch the episode. And Tom's like, I asked why you didn't feel anything. And he goes, I'm not an emotional person. And they all go, yeah, you are, dude. You're totally an emotional person.
We've watched
Jax.
you sob your face off.
I know. He's always crying. Like he's emotional when it pays for him to be emotional.
Exactly.
And Lisa goes, you're sorry. Beg for their forgiveness. Beg. And Tom says, he doesn't get it. You can't make someone say sorry. He doesn't care. And Kristen says, you treat me like shit. You're just a big piece of shit.
Yeah.
And I'm no better, Jax. And Lisa goes, I don't understand that. And Andy says, I want to talk about the punch. Why did you do that, Tom? Because Tom does punch Jax in the finale. And he's like, I never thought I would do it. But after talking to Schwartz, something clicked in me. And I was like, maybe he'll get it if I hit him. And we get a flashback to that. And Tom says, you never feel anything. It's nuts. And Tom just says, Jax never has to take responsibility for anything. Maybe he'll hurt. If he can't hurt emotionally, maybe he'll hurt physically.
Yeah.
And that's a very man thing to say.
Totally.
Andy says, did you feel your friendship with Tom was a real friendship? And Jax goes, yeah, like we had a good time in the beginning. Yeah.
In the beginning.
Goes, do you miss your friendship with him? He goes, I try to, yeah, it's a full relationship. It's like, it is a marriage. And Jax goes, I try to block it out, of course, but that was a huge chunk of my life. And this is funny when like male on male relationships and friendships, it's funny to me, like the way they communicate with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Tom goes, we used to have so much fun together when me, you, and Schwartz lived together, even hitting him. I didn't even do what I wanted to do. I hit him in the forehead, the hardest part of his body. Your life must have flashed before your eyes because when you were like pinned between the couch and the table, I could have stomped on your face and knocked your teeth out and really hurt you. And Andy's like,
love that
you?
part.
That sounds hot. And Tom,
yeah, totally. That part was like crazy. Your life must have flashed before your eyes.
Yeah. It was, and Tom's like, I have a conscience. I wouldn't have done it if he said, I'm really, really sorry. I probably would have hugged him. And I don't know. That's the difference I feel.
Yeah.
And I do feel like Tom would have hugged him.
I agree. Tom would have 100%. If Jax was like, man, I'm so sorry. I fucked up. I shouldn't have done it. Tom would be like, it's okay, man.
Yeah. So sorry, I've lost my place. One sec. Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah. Are you having can you hear me?
I just had a second of audio problems. One sec. Test. Can you hear me?
Totally.
Okay. Ryan, 644. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, I would have hugged him. And Andy goes, Jax, I have to ask you, last time, why don't you feel bad about sleeping with your ex's best friend? Like, I like that we've now given Jax 30 chances to say that he regrets sleeping with his best friend. Like, why have we given him? Why do we keep asking this question?
And he's like, that's why he finally is like, okay, fine, I do. I feel bad. God, guys,
Yeah,
shut up.
he goes,
Just leave me alone.
he goes, if I dig deep, which is like how deep. If I dig deep, I do have a heart. I'm sorry I did this. I'm sorry this really happened. I really am. I hope maybe one day, 5 years, 10 years, we can shake hands again. Like, he's so like blasé about it.
He's like, all right, guys, is that good enough for you?
Yeah. Is that what, do you feel better now?
Like,
And
all right.
Tom's like, you don't care about anyone but yourself. And Jax goes, you're right. And Stassi's like, I mean, it's not about, it's like, it's when you feel bad and get emotional. It's about how you felt. And Jax goes, I'm trying to get therapy. Why don't I feel things? Tell me what's wrong with me, please. And that's what I'm like. You try to get therapy. You've tried to get therapy every year. Like, I can walk you through how to get therapy. He's like, I'm broken. You don't understand.
It's not hard to get therapy. Fix me.
And he goes, right. Yep. And this, by the way, this is before BetterHelp was invented. And Lisa's like, well, I'm happy that you're working together with a modicum of respect. Hope time will be a healer. And Andy's like, shocking powder keg that you all work together. And Stassi says, well, I don't. And it makes me realize why I can't be here. And this is the end. Andy goes, okay. Shay and Schwartz and Peter and Christina Kelly and Ken and Jiggy, come on out. And this is like Peter's big chance to shine because he always used to bring a cocktail out.
Right.
And they do a Peter Rita. But this truly was the end. And I mean, was there any resolution?
No, and it's funny that there's like, it could have easily been 3 parts because they could have covered more ground, but they're like, well, that's all we have the budget for. And we'll see you guys next season.
But they had all these people backstage. Like,
I know, right?
I would have, they're right there. But anyways, I thought, this was a fabulous 2-part reunion. And it makes me miss, these things really happened to them.
The early seasons of Vanderpump I think that if anyone ever asks me, and I don't think I know, if anyone ever asks me like my favorite Bravo, I always say the early seasons of Vanderpump. Always.
It's just, it's something that you cannot recreate. And it really all,
exactly.
And with it's all to do with casting and not casting real friends.
Yes.
Casting people with relationships that are already happening. Like, you see those now with like Beverly Hills or like Jersey where people audition. I always compare it to like SNL now, to auditioning to get on the show, is that they're auditioning. This isn't real friendships anymore. So what you're watching is a different homogenized version or a different version entirely where they learn to become friends with each other. These was a friend group, and especially at a time period in everybody's life that you have where you are just trying to become somebody, trying to figure it all out and trying to make enough money to pay your rent. And that's why all of this is so magical. And it's also interesting then to compare it to what we're going to see in season 10 of where they are now, what they look like, how they dress. Everything is different.
It's also, this is like earlier years of Bravo, before Bravo was such a huge network. And you can't get these years back. You can't, you'll never cast someone that's this green again. People know the drill now. They know the opportunities that come with reality TV. So they come in already kind of seasoned, already kind of glowed up. You see these like virgin faces, not yet totally Botoxed and filled. You know what I mean? They're like, hey, we're just here to have fun. And they're willing to show such messes on TV because they didn't quite think through everything that was going to live forever on camera.
Would you say these are potentially the best days of our lives?
They are absolutely the best days.
Emily Hanks, we have really, you guys, this is probably a record breaking. If you put these together, this is the Godfather trilogy, not even a trilogy, just a duo of episodes, but together they form one gigantic episode. And the main point though, is anybody listening, my listeners, go listen to She Speaks Bravo, go follow Emily Hanks, go follow and support, we're all on the same team here. And I hope, you'll never probably come back again because you're like, this guy long-winded, but this was a blast. Did you have a good time?
We've spent like the day together.
Yeah, I know.
This has been so fun.
We've lived 4.5 hours. Wow, 4.5 hours. Okay.
I'm worried you won't want to have me back. I had the best time.
Well, I'm losing my voice tonight.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, this was, but Guinness Book of World Records, this has to be something. So, where can we find you and support your show? And I know a Patreon, I think, is in the works, which you'll put, if you follow She Speaks Bravo on Instagram, you'll be able to find out all that information when it's released.
Yeah.
But on the meantime, go subscribe to the pod. Yes. What is your pod releasing schedule these days?
Oh God, it's often. So I'm covering Family Karma. I'm covering Salt Lake City. I'm covering Winter House, and I've got bonus episodes coming. So I'm doing probably every Tuesday, Wednesday, every Friday, Saturday, at least 3-4 times a week.
Yeah.
Don't hold me to those days, though.
Yeah, no, it's but
you know
that's
how
why
that
you
goes.
Subscribe because it'll just show up in your feed. And,
exactly.
And just get lulled to sleep by Emily, or drive on a long car ride with Emily. These are why podcasts exist, is to potentially entertain. So hopefully you were entertained today, you guys. And hopefully if you didn't know Emily, now you do know Emily, and you can go support. And hopefully you'll come back on again when season 10 of Vanderpump Rules comes on, so we can do a comparison and contrast of where are they now.
Ryan, I want you to come back on mine, then I'm going to go back on yours. We're just going to keep doing
it. It's going to be this wild volley match. It's going to be like Keith Raniere and NXIVM playing volleyball on the courts.
Oh God.
I'm so into NXIVM right now. Anyways, thank you so much for being here. And I hope you guys really enjoyed this.
We did.
Bye.
Bye.